Buckman, and I'm really excited because I just published my very first cookbook. And it's recipes of how I grew up, it's recipes of my family, it's recipes that were my mother's. I'm really excited to share these recipes with you. The book is on Amazon, and it came out on June 10th, and I'm really excited about it. The first recipe that I want to make is I want to make my mother chili. This is how she taught me how to make chili, and also my brother Roger loves it very much, and I want to go detail by detail how to make this chili. And there's also a neat thing about this chili is you can make it a million different ways after you've made it. So this is one of my really favorite recipes, and I hope you enjoy it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to my Dutch oven, and then what I have here is I have 2 pounds of ground chuck that is still, you can see, frozen, and it's in a plastic bag. It came in a plastic bag. And I just very carefully put it in my Dutch oven, and I will explain to you later why I do this. So it's in the Dutch oven, it's out of the bag. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. What we're going to do is we're just going to put the lid on. This is very easy. And we put it in a preheated 350 degree oven. And this is going to take about 35 minutes. And then I'll see you back in 35 minutes. This is my book, and we're making beef chili. And this is my mother's recipe. This is how she taught me how to make beef chili. Now what we did is we took the frozen chuck. So this is an easy recipe because you can take the chuck right out of the freezer, put it in your Dutch oven, and then it goes in the oven. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the Dutch oven out of the oven, put it on the counter, and then what I do is I invert the lid like this. And then what I do is, you see this right here? It looks kind of like a pudding. What this is, it's actually the blood that has actually come out of the meat, the ground chuck. And what I do is I try to scrape that pudding off of the hunk of meat, and I lay it right here. But do you see in here? This is why I like when I do soups, when I do anything with ground chuck. This is how I try to cook my ground chuck. Because first I would put it in the oven, in the Dutch oven, and then you can see all the blood that has accumulated in the bottom of the pan. And this is actual blood from the beef. And then what I do, and this is very good if you're kosher. If you're kosher, this is a very good way and how to extract the blood from your meat. Because I do not want blood in my recipe. It's not in my recipe. And I just dump it out in the sink. And then I just take the meat and I put it in the pan. I'm going to break it up. But I got rid of a lot of that blood. Now, I understand that this meat is still red and it still does have some blood in it, but I feel that I got rid of most of it. And so this is why I go through putting the meat in the oven. So I can get rid of most of the blood. Now I broke it apart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back on this. I'm going to put it back, or I'm going to put it on the stove. And then I am going to brown it, which will take about 5 or 10 minutes. There's 2 side notes that I wanted to make. Is that I always try to pull my hair back whenever I actually do the cooking. And another comment I wanted to make is when I was taking high school physics at Clearwater High, my physics teacher explained to me about how to drain the blood out of the meat, and he called it that grayish brown pudding. So that's where I learned about that. But then what it is now is I brown the ground beef. The ground beef is brown. And what I want to do is I want to add the onions. I added the onions. Then I also want to add the spices that I'm going to put in there. Because what I want to do is I want to sweat the onions. And then I also want to bloom the spices. I want to get the spices all nice and warm and toasty. And I want to start blooming them so their flavor starts coming out more.
What does bloom and sweat mean?
Sweat means that you're getting all the water out of your onions, and it's just like a term where you're sweating them. They're going to become translucent, and you're just getting that water out because you're going to see them sweat. And then blooming is when you put the spices in, you know, whatever you're cooking, and the heat's going to release their oils, and the heat's going to release a lot of their flavor. So you're blooming it, you're making that bigger, you're making that better. Then I'm going to cook this, and then I'm going to add in some salt, which is also going to help the onions sweat because it's going to draw out that moisture. And then I'm going to add some fresh cracked pepper. And then we're going to just keep stirring it. Now what you're also seeing is I'm also forming a fond in the bottom of this Dutch oven, on the bottom of my pan. And you can see a lot of the seasonings are on the bottom of the pan. They're getting nice and toasty, and they're getting nice and warm. And oh, it smells so good. It's starting to all come together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the beef broth. And you can hear that sizzle. Definitely hot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir it, because as I'm stirring it, I'm going to get that foam off the bottom of the pan. All that flavor, all that caramelization, all those herbs. And I love this instrument here with the flattened top, because it seems like I can really get down. I can really use this to scrape the bottom of my pan. And I can just go like this. I can just feel everything coming off that pan. All that flavor, all that goodness is coming off the pan. I can just feel it. It's like I'm cleaning my pan right now. And this really works very well when you have the flattening part of this spoon. Then, I love these things. They're fire roasted tomatoes. This is the only kind of diced tomatoes that I use. I love them in everything. Then my mother always worked with dark kidney beans when she made her chili, so in honor of my mother, I'm going to put in dark red kidney beans. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my crushed tomatoes. Then I'm going to give it a quick stir. But my mother loved dark red kidney beans. She made another recipe in my book is kidney bean salad. It is delicious. My mother would make that for picnics or get-togethers or what have you, and it was just absolutely delicious. And it's also made with red kidney beans. And in the spices that I put in here was chili powder,